Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel where I am going to share with you some tips and coping mechanisms that I have discovered throughout the years of dealing with anxiety and depression. So the last few months I've made some substantial changes in the way I've been going about my daily life, and I want to share with you today 3 things that I've done that have made a tremendous difference. They're not always easy, but they're making a difference. And the first thing that I've been consciously doing is changing my perception and my perspective of events that happen. I have a habit of wallowing in the, why me? Why did this happen? This isn't fair. And just kind of getting in that mindset and just ruminating about everything that's bad about a situation, or whether I'm worried about it or it's something I'm mad about. Regardless, I just ruminate about it. So I've made a question that I ask myself every time when I go down that path, and that is, why is this so upsetting to me, and what is the worst thing that could happen? Is it really that bad? And is there something good that could come of it? Because when I look back on my life and all the bad things that have happened, there's always at least one good thing that I've extracted out of it, whether it be a new friendship or learning something, or sometimes it's a whole epiphany of something I need to do entirely different with my life. So that is something that's helping me. It is something that you have to work on every day, because as you know, if you are challenged with anxiety and depression, your mind tends to go back to that place automatically, and you have to really refocus your perspective for this to work. And it's a daily chore, but it's worth it. It does help. Second, this is a huge thing for me, and that is, it's 2 parts, really. It's owning my own shit and not trying to own the shit of other people. So basically, for me, owning my shit means that I stop making excuses of why I can't do something. Like, I'm too anxious to do that. I was too depressed to do that. Or I couldn't do that because that person didn't do what I wanted them to do. So that, there's all kinds of reasons when you're anxious or depressed where you can say, I'm not going to do that. And I decided that I was going to own that and say, okay, what can I do? Is there an action that I can take? I'm the only one that's responsible for my perceptions. So that's been another huge thing. But the second part of it is even bigger, and that is not owning other people's shit. So a lot of times I think as humans we tend to try to own other people's issues and problems, and especially people that we're close to, that we have a close connection with. We tend to try to own their shit, especially if they're not owning their problems. Maybe they're going down the wrong path, they're making bad decisions, bad choices. A lot of times we try to control that because it makes us feel more connected to them, and that never ever works. You can give suggestions, you can give pointers and feedback, but the moment you try to own somebody else's shit, you're not owning your own. So it just never works, because you're only in charge of your trajectory in life and nobody else's. And so I think that for me it's hard, because sometimes it means not trying to influence somebody or change somebody. Means that I might have to distance myself emotionally from them, or maybe there becomes more of a disconnect because we're not going down the same path. And that's a really hard thing for any of us, I think, to do, because we want that human connection a lot of times above anything else. But that's something I work on a lot now, and I'm getting better, but it's difficult. But it's it's helping to remind myself that that is not my problem, that's their issue, and I only have control over mine. And then the third thing is writing down goals and also challenges, things that scare you, but you want to do them, but you don't because you're just too scared. I started writing down goals for this year, which I haven't really ever done before, and I noticed that it holds me more accountable. Like, I feel like it's more stuck in my head. I can't say, well, I would like to do that, but and then you put it off, because basically most things when you're anxious or depressed, you're afraid to take the risk because you're afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, what have you. An example of one of my goals would be I wanted to grow my eBay business. I've been doing it for about 4 years, and I realized that I had been really not doing anything in particular to try to grow it, because I think I was afraid that I was going to fail. And so I knew that January was coming, and typically January is a very slow month. It has been in the past. And so I set myself a goal to do whatever I could do to try to increase my sales. So I did a few things, did some research on brands, listed more, and just stuck with it. And it turns out that my sales were up 300% from last January. And that is not because the market's better, the market's the same, or maybe worse. There's more competition, not less. It's just because I set goals and I forced myself to follow through on them. Also, another thing that has really helped me is the challenges, things that scare me, that I want to do, but fear just stops me. I've been pushing myself, making lists of things that scare me, to try to make myself realize that my anxiety, a lot of it's self-inflicted. So I think it's really important to make concrete lists of the things that we're afraid of when we have anxiety and work through them, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Every little thing that you accomplish makes a huge difference, because it becomes an impetus to do more, and you realize that you have more capability than you thought you had. So to sum up, the 3 things that have helped me a lot recently are changing my perspective and looking at the good that could come out of any situation, and realistically, how bad is it, and what can I take away from it or learn from it. And second is owning my shit and not trying to own other people's shit. And thirdly is making those goals and holding myself to them and accomplishing just little things at a time. It just makes a huge difference. So those are some things I would recommend you try if you have issues with anxiety or depression or really anything. I'm going to be uploading more content to this channel in the future, so be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.